Welcome to Your Bird Story, a podcast about everyday people and their relationships and interactions with wild birds. I'm your host, Georgia Silvera Seamans. Listeners, I am pleased to be talking with someone I follow on Instagram whose approach to talking about birds is really fresh and unique. And I'm going to ask Alejandro to introduce himself to you all.
Thank you for that. Fresh and unique. I love that. My name is Alejandro Vinueza. A lot of people call me Al for short. Born and raised in New York City, specifically Washington Heights. And Washington Heights is still a place that I get to call home.
I lived part of my life in Washington Heights, so I know the neighborhood well. It's a great part of the city and one that hasn't been too over-discovered yet.
Yep. I feel like you'll still get the culture of it and also find your little escape in the green areas as well.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a question that you cheekily asked recently on Instagram.
Okay.
What's the best time to go birding?
Ooh. So technically, again, morning, no pun intended, but I'm an early riser as well. I'm an early bird, so I like to go early in the morning. Not a lot of people are out, so I kind of get the place to myself a little bit. But for me, I tell people that anytime you can be outside, anytime that gives you a chance to kind of look up or down to look at a bird is the best time to go birding. Anytime you can, go for it.
And when you go out birding, how do you prepare for that? I mean, if you do prepare, and do you bring any equipment or tools with you?
Do I prepare for it? I'll be real with you. No. No, we were just talking about before we started recording, we were talking about the winter. I don't even dress properly for the winter sometimes. I went out birding the other day without a hat on or gloves on, so it was a short birding experience, but I still loved it nonetheless. The only things I would say I bring with me, because I have it, are my binoculars and a camera, just to try to capture certain moments, things that I feel I want to, try to capture that and then share it with the world.
So the content that you share on Instagram, that's all sourced from you mostly?
Yeah, for the most part. I'll do some reaction videos where I'll see pre-recorded videos of like different bird behaviors, and then I'll capture my reaction to that just kind of like on the spot, whatever naturally comes out. But for the most part, like the bird photos, a lot of bird videos, I'll try to do it myself as much as I can.
I really enjoy them. And I mean, I'm not, blowing smoke. It's like a really unique approach. And so I'm curious, how did this all start for you? The content specifically, because you have a very particular way of conveying information about birds.
So I'm an educator. I've been in the youth development field for a decade. And so my thing is always about teaching and engaging and trying to reach people where they're at kind of deal. And so for me, my content was always for all the bird nerds. I want people to have fun with it, but specifically for people who might have been like me that, I didn't grow up birding. And I kind of wanted to open up a world to teach them that this is dope and that this is for us kind of deal. So I wanted to explain bird behavior and birding in a way where they were able to understand it. And specifically, like when I started pushing content, I would think about my friends. So I remember when I first got into it, I would tell them, oh yeah, I'm a bird watcher. I love birding. And they're looking at me. These are my friends for years, childhood. They're looking at me like, what? What do you mean you look at birds? And I was like, the amount of laughs I would get when I would tell like native New Yorkers all that I like to look at birds. But it wasn't until I started to explain to them, and in our language in which they understood. I don't want to use the word slang, but like our swag, where they kind of understood what I was trying to say. They were like, oh, that's lit. Like, that's dope. And I'm like, it is lit. It is dope. I just gotta have to, explain it to you in a way where you understand kind of deal. And so that was kind of my whole message behind the content of pushing that out, to trying to teach everybody about birds in a way where the language is relatable, I would say.
How many friends have you converted to birding?
Quite a few. I remember when I was still in college and I was learning about, I guess, what they call basic backyard birds. One of my friends to this day, He'll be like, Peter, Peter, Peter. I'm like, oh, just randomly. He'd be like, and that's not, and now that's his favorite bird is the tufted titmouse. Or he'd be like, cheeseburger randomly. That's how I learned the black cap chickadee. And quite a few. I had stopped with the consistent content a couple years ago, and then all my friends would text me like, hey, like, what's going on? Like, I'm trying to learn about this. I want to learn about this. Or they'll send me videos like what's happening here kind of deal. And even recently, like people that I've gotten to know, they don't know I do birding content. They're like, yo, this is so much fun. Like, this is lit kind of deal. So they're into it. So quite a few, I would say. Definitely in my inner circle, I got them all. Taking a couple friends outside birding.
So in Washington Heights, where do you like to go birding and how far afield in New York City have you been?
Yes. And Washington Heights specifically, I love Fort Tryon Park.
Mm.
Very close to me. I spent a lot of time in Cabrini Park, which is right outside, playing a lot of basketball. So it's just a place I grew up. So Fort Tryon Park and definitely in Woodhill Park, spent a lot of time. I have a lot of memories there as a kid. In Woodhill Park and Fort Tryon, I like to call those like my backyard. And the reason I love to shout it out so much is that what I try to drive home as well is that you can go birding wherever you call home. I didn't understand that for a while. I thought birding was only in Vermont where I was in college, or the green of it, the nature of it was over there. But it's like, nah, where I grew up, where I played basketball, soccer, elementary school, it's a place I can be within nature and go birding. But in terms of throughout the city, the furthest I've traveled, I think I've been birding in all boroughs besides Staten Island. The only one.
It's hard to get to Staten Island.
Yeah,
I wish it was easier.
no,
Yeah.
yeah. I lived in Brooklyn for a little bit, so I did a lot of birding in Prospect Park as well. But been to Van Cortlandt, been to Pelham. I got to see some great horned owlets and Pelham, which was dope. With somebody that was from the area, so it was good to get go with somebody that was very familiar with the park. So a little bit of everywhere.
We're at opposite ends of the island. For folks who are not familiar with Fort Tryon and Inwood, can you talk about the landscape of each of those parks? Like what makes them great for birding?
Inwood, home of the Lenape is also the last natural forest in Manhattan, so something I like to brag about. So we have all different types of, trees in the area. So we got a lot of migrants as well. Around the spring, summertime, you'll hear noises that you've never gotten to hear before in the past. And then in the wintertime as well, there's some eagle sightings. I still have yet to see one uptown, but a lot of different kinds of birds and a lot of flowers in Fort Tryon Park. I keep thinking about it now that it's about to enter springtime. They're about to do a whole planting, and so I get to see all the ruby-throated hummingbirds in that little like flower patch, and it's just like literally walking distance from where I currently live, even as well. So it's just very green and very quiet as well. Can be quiet. Perfect place to kind of forget that you're living in the city from both of those parts.
Well, you've listed a bunch of birds, tufted titmouse, great horned owls, eagles, ruby-throated hummingbird.
Hmm.
Are any of those your favorite? And if not, do you have a favorite or have you ever had a favorite?
Yeah, I feel like my favorites always change. But one I like to highlight is the pigeon. I know they're not
Mm.
native and invasive, but for again, like a lot of my friends, they're like, I don't know how to bird, I don't know how to ID. But if I show them a photo or a video of a pigeon, they're gonna be like, oh, that's a pigeon. I'm like, all right, bro, so you do know how to bird. Stop lying to me. Like this again, stop trying to, this is for you. This is for us. Like I just gotta tell you. And then they'll be like, oh, and the little brown one is a baby pigeon. I'm like, nah, that's a house
Mm.
sparrow, but we'll get there. Like I got you. Well, I'll explain it to you. So just because as New Yorkers, I feel like that's the first bird we really get to interact with. But my favorite bird, I don't know why this came to be. Something about the plumage, scarlet tanager, the red and black,
Oh.
and the female, which is that beautiful yellow as well. Something about that color combination does something for me. And then recently, I'll say my favorite bird is a northern cardinal. I've heard that people say they symbolize like a loved one that might have passed. When I pass someone dear to me, I'll pass. So every time I see or hear one, I think it's her coming to visit, say hi, kind of deal. So anytime I see or hear one right around my block, I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that about cardinals, and a couple of people who have been guests on the podcast have told stories about cardinals showing up in their lives at the
Hmm.
time that a loved one had departed, and they felt like this person had come through the cardinal to let them know that they were in a good place. So,
Yeah, I feel like every time I see one, it's like her saying, "I see you." Like you still bird watching.
so you actually recently did something about female birds, and I was super excited about that because female birds tend to be
Yes.
underappreciated. And I think you started out with the You might have started out with a female cardinal.
I did. Just for me, like especially where I live, I see female cardinals like all the time. And again, when people always talk about cardinals, I feel like the bright red of the male, the plumage. But I'm like, damn, female cardinals, she pretty as hell. Like why is she not getting as much love? And just a little fun facts about how they sing as well. I feel like they really run the show when telling the guy go bring me some food while they're at the nest kind of deal. Just highlighting the female as well, just because I feel like a lot of people when they talk about birds or the plumage, it's specifically related around the males, which is one that I highlight. A few female species that like we see all the time in New York. They just gotta be shouted out to.
Yeah. There's something about you that when you talk about birds and you're sharing scientific information, natural history information, the way you translate that, it's very accessible, it's funny, it's welcoming. I mean, I laugh when I'm watching the videos. I think because of that, I'm able to retain a lot of what you
Mm.
say because it just feels like you're having a conversation with the people who are watching your videos.
Yeah, I try to. I mean, I think that's the thing. Again, I think about a lot of my friends, and I think about a lot of the kids that I work with. I love working with New York City students because that's I'm born and raised here. And even when I'm teaching just in general, or just trying to give them advice about processing their emotions, like I want to talk to them in a way where they're able to understand and grasp the information. And so when I do the birding content as well, it's just to be like, this is a normal conversation between A and B. I know there's a lot of science behind it, but I'm gonna break it down to you in a way for you to understand and process that information and really be able to, soak it in. So then somebody asks you about what bird that is or what this is, you're able to tell them back to it kind of deal. Born and bred in New York, it just kind of comes out.
Yeah. Do you use birds in your work with young people?
All the time. I like to say that cheesy line where like I'm a bird nerd, I'm trying to grow the flock.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm trying to grow the flock. I've given students binoculars. Even with binoculars, it's a tool. A lot of kids think, oh, like yeah, like I just gotta look, do this, do that to it. It's like no, there's a little bit more to it. It's not as easy as you may think. So making games with it, I've done before in outdoor green spaces. Like I'll take them out to again a local park, depending where we're at, place that they're probably familiar with, and then we'll do some binocular testing where I kind of break them up into pairs. I put signs in different areas of the trees, depending on the distance. They got to work together as a team to kind of read what it says. And I'll put funny stuff on it, like Mr. Alejandro's the best or something, or Mr. Alejandro's the best bird nerd kind of deal. And then from there, it evolved to like small birds that we've ID'd and then pointing photos in different parts of like the park for them to try to ID and what bird is that kind of deal. So yeah, definitely anytime I can, I'm throwing in birds out there. I just love to get people outside interacting with their green spaces, specifically with birds. So anytime I can, bird is being mentioned.
Do you plan out your posts? Like, what's your method for inspiration?
Ooh, that's a great question. Inspiration. Do I plan on my posts? Some of them I do. And no pun intended with my Instagram name, I'll be winging it sometimes. I'll just look at a video and be like, oh, cool. This is a fun thing to kind of like react to. Like, oh, I want to be able to explain this or what's happening in this video. Posts that I do plan out, I just think about like, how can I get people to want to get outside and to be like, this is something that they can do. And so for my latest post, I was like, I know work is bored. Work is busy. Everybody is in the hustle and bustle a bit. A lot of people are like, this is time, this is time. So I was kind of like, let me try to help convince people that you can go birding at any time that you have available kind of deal. Even if it's the walk to work, or if you're in an outdoor train station and waiting for the train, you'll see the house sparrows, the pigeons, kind of just observe the behavior kind of deal. So any chance I get to try to either highlight a bird that people can be familiar with so they appreciate it a little more, or trying to encourage them to just go outside and start doing it, it's like that's really the inspiration behind it.
You've mentioned this that your approach is the approach you take because this is how you interact with friends and with young people that you work with. And I'm curious if you've had particular encounters that have reinforced the fact that this is a really good way to engage people around birds and birding.
I think for the people that really enjoy the videos, like I think someone commented, because I have a couple of different platforms. So on my TikTok, someone commented recently like, yo, low key, I want to get into birding. Strangers, don't know who they are. Posts like that, I'm kind of like, all right, cool. I am helping and or trying to inspire people to get outside and let people know that this is for them kind of deal. Same thing with mutual friends that randomly see the post, they'll comment, drop a couple comments here and there. But I think the thing that really, I finally found a place where I'm kind of unapologetically like myself. I think
Hmm.
for a while when it came to the environmental field, I was like, this isn't for me. You know, people don't look like me, talk like me, or dress like me. This is not something I'm supposed to be doing. And then I had a complete 180. I'm like, no, I can show up as who I am and know that this is for me and that I have a voice here. My voice is here to stay. So that also carries a lot of my content.
Is there a type of video that resonates with people the most?
The first one that I feel like a lot of people, non-birders to experienced birders, really love. This concept was about maybe 3, 4 years ago at this point. But I used to do like host bird battle raps where I will pick two birds, again, New York City birds that people can be familiar with. And then I would have them kind of battle rap each other, and I would disguise my voice in like a humorous way with the abs. Battle rap, they were roasting each other, but they were also spitting like fun facts about themselves. And then I would
Hmm.
let the audience choose like who won the battle rap kind of deal. Like a lot of people really engage with those because rap, music in general kind of deal, the roasting of the jokes, and then just the fun facts with it. People it stuck with a lot of people. But I would say I think recently has been a lot of just my raw emotion reaction videos to like bird behaviors, explaining what's going on. I think a lot of people have been resonating with. Because I just turn on the camera and whatever comes out comes out, kind of deal. And so I think a lot of people just gravitate towards that.
When you just talked about the rap battles, I've been re-listening to the Hamilton soundtrack,
Love
and
it.
there's this one song where I think it's Hamilton and is it Jefferson?
They're
They
doing
have
the
that rap battle. Oh,
yes,
so good.
yes. That's what helped get me into musicals. Was never really my thing. My friends like, oh, let's watch Hamilton. I'm like, what is this? And then the music and the the Scholar Sister, the rapping. I was like, oh, I'm into this. But I grew up a battle rap fan, so I was kind of like, I want to bring that concept into like birding as well. And I had a lot of fun with it, and I think a lot of people did too. And then it was a fun way to push facts with music. By the way, I'm not a rapper. Let me just flat out say I am
I won't put
horrible.
you on the spot.
I am horrible. All my students know me for being like that. Like I'm like the cheesy uncle when they come in because I'll say something in the rap. They're like, stop, stop. But that's
Kids keep you humble, that's for sure.
yes. I was told the other day I'm 102. So
Wow.
the-
That makes you older than a boomer, I think, but so since we're on the topic of like song and sound, one of your posts is titled How Fast I Would Run
mm,
Depending on the Bird's Sound.
yes.
That was super clever. I wonder if you could describe it for folks, and then I have a follow-up question.
Yeah, so that post was just scrolling through my social media page. I think the title was like "Bird Sounds You've Never Heard of" or something like that. These were some birds that I've heard about, but never really heard them as well. So I was kind of like, let's see what sounds they make and how fast would I run because they're making it seem like scary. So all the different birds that they posted, they played their call or their song, and I was just like, yeah, some of them are a little frightening for me. If I heard it in the middle of the night, I would definitely pedal to the metal. I'm out of there. They're not catching me, kind of deal. I think the song was what really got me. What the Scarlet Tenor did. It's like the buzzy American Robin kind of deal, just like the raspy, buzzy noise that it gives has like rhythm and flow to it as well. I love the Scarlet Tenor song, but also the Red Tail Hawk. Every time I see or hear the Red Tail Hawk like screech, I'm constantly reminded of how wild like my city is. New York City is known as the concrete jungle. That's how I like to describe myself as well. Half city, half wild. And every time I hear that, it's just something so powerful about it. I'm like, oof. I'm like, yep. Nature's all around us, kind of deal.
I get goosebumps
Yes.
when I hear the red-tailed hawk because it really, and the image I get, you say concrete jungle, people talk about New York City as a place that's sort of like cliffs and edges and
Yes.
canyons. And whenever I hear a red-tailed hawk call, and I've never been to the Grand Canyon,
Hmm.
but I immediately think of some large raptor sort of soaring in and out of the canyon. And I don't know why I have that association because I've never been to a
Yeah.
place like that. But there's just something I feel that call is so evocative. It like taps into some kind of emotional response that's unconscious.
Yeah, and I think red tail hawk for me is what changed my perspective of birding. In New York City, I was playing basketball one day in Cabrini Park, which is right outside Fort Tryon. And this was before I knew how green my city actually was. I'm just playing ball, and then I look up because now that I've been used to kind of looking up, I see a red tail hawk soaring over us. I'm like, oh, it's a red tail hawk, but it's soaring over, and there's like a rat tail hanging out its mouth, and that for me was like the thing that did it for me. Was like, whoa. I was like, first of all, I'm scared of rats, so thank you, red tail hawk, for dealing with that because I know I can't.
And don't drop it, please.
Don't drop it. Do not drop it. And this is gonna sound so like corny, but like that is the moment for me where like everything was kind of like gray. It's like a movie scene. It's like gray, and then when I saw that, everything turned like green and sunny for me. And
Mm.
so all of the like the trees, the flowers, and the birds, and the beauty that I was learning about in college of Vermont, like I found that here, and that's for me when my own home turned just like kind of upside down for a little bit, and that's
Mm.
when I was like, whoa, I love birding, and the birding is right here for me. I could do it right here. I was like, cool, place that means so much to me is shared with these birds that they also call home. I was like, come on. So shout out to that red tail hawk.
Yeah. The way you describe that, I could totally see that as a scene in a film.
That's
And
that's how it really felt like. It was so in slow motion for me because I was just like amazed. Like I stopped playing. I stopped playing. I was just like, oh wow. And then I saw the rat. I was like, ooh. So the rat tail. I was like, ooh. I was like, but thank you. And then boom, everything stopped. And then I crossed the street to Fort Tryon after, and I was just like, oh snap. Then I heard the blue jays, the cardinals,
mm,
and then I was like, yo, my city is really wild. I didn't know that. Like I come here all the time and I never notice these things. Um, but yeah, shout out a special place for red tail hawk.
so that story, and when you talked about the pigeon as kind of this starter bird for folks in New York City, and both the pigeon and this rat hawk relationship, it feels like it can sort of like flip this switch in how you think about New York City.
Yeah.
It's like a place of nature. Yes, it's a pigeon, but this is often the first bird people interact with, and it
Hmm.
can be this gateway bird for people. Or, yes, rats are here, and there are way too many of them. And they're also a food source for this
Correct.
majestic red-tailed hawk. And in fact, one of the reasons that hawk populations have increased in New York City is because of the
Correct.
preponderance of rats.
Yep.
So I remember I talked with someone years ago. They were doing a lot of birding from inside their apartment looking
Mm.
out, and they talked about seeing birds outside their window as having National Geographic on all the time.
Oh, I
Like
love
you
that.
didn't have to go outside of your city to have that Nat Geo moment. You could look out your window.
It reminds me of a story because I used to do some program stuff for middle schoolers outside of the New York Botanical Garden. So I had to be there a little bit early. And then I remember I'm about to cross the street and I see this pigeon flying like weird. I'm like I almost hit a car. Like the car was driving and it was like driving into the car. Like
Mm.
I was like, what is this pigeon on? 2 seconds later, a hawk was on it, chasing it. So I dropped the bags. I'm like, oh, it's Nat Geo Wild in the city. I was like, I wish I was able to capture like that moment, but there's a lot of times those moments happen. Those are videos I love to react to because it's like it's Nat Geo Wild right here. To your point, like you can do it from your home. Like you can sit on your fire escape, you can put up your window, just listening even, and you'll hear all the different nature sounds from just your apartment.
Well, we're on the cusp of spring migration. Like the piping plovers are here, the
Mm.
woodcocks are here. Is there a bird you're looking forward to seeing this spring?
Ooh, the woodcock I always gotta see once a year at least. I don't know why. I think it brings me back to my field ornithology days. But the black-throated blue warbler, their sound puts me back in that moment when I was in college for a little bit. So first of all, this little bird is making a lot of noise with all the people and all the cars and all the music in the back. So it's just another reminder for me that like how wild this city really is. But something about that, like that's dope.
Yeah, the black-throated blue. The contrast with the black and the blue feathers is, I mean, they're very similar, but they're also not. There's something sort of magical
Yep.
about like the plumage pattern of that warbler.
All those numbers so tiny, but yet so loud. I love to just sometimes just like I do like a little sit spot for myself. I'll just sit and just like I won't even look at the binoculars or camera. Like take out my camera. I'll just kind of just like take it all in, kind of do.
You've mentioned this now a few times, Vermont,
Um,
and you just mentioned field ornithology. Can you tell us about this period in your life?
Ooh, this was new for me. So I went to college at the University of Vermont, majored in wildlife biology, and I went in blindly. I never visited the state. I didn't know what wildlife biology meant. I thought, I was going to be learning about everything that Steve Irwin was teaching me back on the Discovery Channel back in the day. So I was like, all right, cool. Like, I like animals. Like, sure, I'll do that. But my first 2 years were spent in a culture shock. And then I had a complete 180 that summer going into my senior year. And it was field ornithology that did it for me. It was a place where I got to show up as I am and not feel like awkward about it. And a lot of the peers that I was around accepted me for how I showed up, and it made me very comfortable. And because of that, I had so much fun. 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. non-stop birding. This sound, this sound, this sound. It was intense. Don't get me wrong. The first thing I think my professor said was like, "You're gonna be able to say you are able to identify all 150 species in the Northeast." I was like, "Whoa." I
Wow.
was like, that's a big statement. I was like, I don't got that good of a memory, so we'll see. But it was just nonstop 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. hiking, going to the beaches here, mountains here. It was the first time I think in school where I just thoroughly enjoyed myself day in and day out, and I couldn't wait to go back and see what else I was able to learn.
So, did you learn 150 species by sight and sound?
Nope, I can give you a good 15 to 20. Like,
That's pretty good.
no, no, not 150, but I'm okay. Anytime I'm unable to identify a bird is another like learning moment. Like, oh, cool! Like it's a surprise. Like which one? Like what do I get to learn today? Kind of deal.
Yeah. Well, Alejandro, it's been great talking with you. I kind of want to come uptown this spring.
Yeah,
I haven't done any birding in Fort Tryon, but I have in Inwood.
yeah. Fort Tryon, beautiful. It's a pretty decent sized park. It's hilly as well. I remember one time I went birding and I saw a park ranger kind of like escorting something like it was VIP. I'm like, what is this park ranger doing? And it was a deer. A deer was just chilling in the park and it was escorting its way through. I was kind of like, yeah, this is normal, I guess now at this point, kind of deal. But yes, please, anytime you want to come uptown birding, let me know. I'm happy to show you around.
You're already doing such a great job of growing your flock, so continued success.
I appreciate it. I have these dreams that one day I'll be able to take a couple weeks off and like host a little birding program for kids uptown. So trying to speak that into existence a little bit.
Right? You say it, and the universe helps you to manifest it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Your Bird Story. Like, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Your Bird Story is an initiative of Local Nature Lab.